Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Washington, Fox News analyst Charles Krauthammer. And you say?
I say I don't know what he's thinking, but I sure know what he's saying and doing. The lengths to which he will go to avoid telling us the truth about the enemy is becoming comical. It's certainly embarrassing. For example, he will never forget about the word jihadist. He'll never use that. But he refuses to use the word Islamist, which is used throughout the Muslim world. It's used by journalists, by authors, on the street, in the parliament, everywhere. In Egypt, it's used in Lebanon, it's used everywhere by Muslims. And yet Obama won't touch it because he refuses to use any words that might imply a connection between radical Islam and terrorism, which, as anybody who's over the age of 9 knows, is the single greatest cause of terror in the world today. I'll give you one example which was completely overlooked by everyone. It was a rather trivial one. When he was in Israel, he gave a speech in Jerusalem. And in the middle of the speech, he talked about the rise of the Islamist parties in Egypt and elsewhere, the Brotherhood in Egypt, in Libya, etc. And what was the phrase he used? We have to be concerned about the rise of non-secular parties. What a weird word to use. The word is religious parties. The word is Islamist parties. Yet even in this trivial throwaway line in his speech in Jerusalem, he refuses to use the obvious word.
Now, does it matter? That's the question. So we've established the fact that President Obama, for whatever his reason, and he won't explain it, isn't going to define the worldwide terrorism problem accurately. He's not. Does it matter that he doesn't?
It matters because if you want to mobilize the population, if you want to give them the courage to persist and to carry on a fight, which should be a difficult fight, it could go on for a generation. You have to be clear with your own people about who the enemy is. Churchill did not speak about German extremists. He talked about the Nazi menace. He described it in detail. FDR didn't speak about extremists in Tokyo. He talked about the Japanese imperialism and its threat to the whole region. You have to be able to be honest with the people if you're going to get any support. Otherwise, you get an event here, an event there, and you say we can't jump to any conclusions. Within 3 days, everybody understands that these brothers were jihadists.
Within 3 minutes, everybody understood. As soon as they saw they were from Chechnya, as soon as they saw who they were, everybody knew what it was.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, but you can't say, I think, fairly, that President Obama is soft on the jihad. He hasn't been soft on it. He uses the drones, which, of course, Tom Brokaw is all upset about, and we'll get to that with Colonel Hunt in a moment. He's not soft on it. He doesn't avoid killing them when he can. So, you know, this is it's a PR thing, I guess.
I think it's more than PR because, again, if you want to lead a nation in a fight that takes a long time, the drone attacks are happening off-screen, below the radar. It doesn't affect us in our lives. Yes, I commend him on that. Yes, it is happening. But he tries to keep all of this at bay as if it's not happening. It's all in secret. We don't hear about it. And every once in a while you get an attack in Boston and people say, what's going on? I thought, as Obama said, the tide of war is receding. I thought we don't even use the phrase the war on terror. I thought the guy who killed 13 Americans in the Fort Hood shooting, who jumped up on a table and yelled Allahu Akbar, which is the signature of the jihad, is still today called by this administration officially workplace violence.
I know.
As if the guy went postal.
It's absurd.
It's absurd, and I think it undermines the will and the strength of Americans.
Do you ever think we're going to know why? Do you ever think we're going to know why the president is doing this? Ever? I'm not sure. I mean, we can all speculate. I don't think he'll even admit it.
He'll say, I want to make sure that, he will say, I want to make sure that minorities...
He didn't use the word Muslim terrorism in this whole Boston thing.
He's afraid if he uses the word Muslim, it's going to stigmatize a billion people on Earth.
All right, so everybody else on Earth knows it's Muslim terrorism, but he won't admit it because he's afraid they're going to be stigmatized. They're already stigmatized. It's
Look, you
crazy.
don't have to convince me.
I know, but it's so insane that I don't understand.
In the end, it's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. I don't know why it's happening. All right, Charles, thank you. Next on the Rundown, we'll talk with a Muslim American about what he thinks